An angel told me to find my call. I'm here to offer mine art for
Welcome to Fine Art for All. My name is Barbara Mendes. I've been an artist all my life, and I've always tried to make paintings that are about good things, that are about beauty, and that help to spread these ideas and beautiful things to other people. So in the course of this TV show, Fine Art for All, I try to spread my artwork and the good things that it tells about. Tonight we're going to look at some new paintings of mine. We're going to look at a painting called David Brings the Ark to Jerusalem. And we're going to look at a painting called The King is in the Field, and also some studies for it. After that, we're going to have a segment called Now We Paint, which I do each time I do Fine Art for All. And I'm creating a painting right on TV. And the only way this painting has ever been worked on is on television. So I'm going to begin talking about the first painting, which is David Brings the Ark to Jerusalem. Now, this is a painting that's based on the life of King David, one of the most inspiring people who ever lived, the author of the Book of Psalms, which if you have a Bible at home, you should be familiar with the beauty of the Psalms, and we call them Tehillim in Hebrew. And the way to find these stories are in the Book of Samuel 1 and the Book of Samuel 2 in the Bible. In Hebrew, we call it Shmuel Aleph and Shmuel Bet. So I'm very fascinated by the contents of these books, and I have done many, many paintings based on the life of King David. So this is one of a series. And I'm going to bring you along in the painting and tell you the story. David is ready to bring the Ark of God up to Jerusalem. Now this is the Ark of God. It's a golden ark, and it contains the 10 Commandments, the tablets. And if you think of Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, this is the very ark that we're talking about. It's made of gold, and on top of it are 2 cherubim. They're angels with children's faces and 6 wings each, and they're facing each other. And God speaks to the Jewish people through the wings of these angels. Now, David sets off to bring the ark to Jerusalem, and it's in a wagon pulled by oxen. And here we see King David dancing with his harp and dancing joyfully before the ark. And we see all the people gathered around. I had a lot of fun with the women. Now, following the wagon with the ark, we see the Kohanim, the temple servants, with their instruments, their special trumpets, their special cymbals, their special drums, and their harps, and their trumpets and flutes. But in the back, we also see the crowd is going pretty wild. It's kind of a wild crowd. They're all playing instruments of every kind, and it's a big scene. Now, what happens, which I don't show in the painting, but they, at one point, they stop to rest at the threshing floor of a man called Obed Edom. And what happens is the ark starts to fall off this wagon, and a man rushes to stop it from falling, and he's struck dead by God, because you're not supposed to touch the ark of God. And David decides this ark is too powerful. He better just leave it for a while. So he leaves it on the threshing floor of this man, and that man's home flourishes. His wife has tons of children. Everybody does great. So David decides it's a good thing, the ark is a good thing, he'll bring it to Jerusalem after all. But this time he's going to do it right. So instead of having it on an oxen-drawn cart, he has the ark of God drawn by the Levites, by the people who serve the holy temple. And we see also going before the ark is a shofar being blown, the ram's horn is being blown. And here we see King David once again dancing with joy before the ark. And what an interesting story is that in the palace, the royal palace, now one of the things you'll see in this story is that David felt badly because he had built himself a palace to live in, but he had not built a house for God yet. He had not built the holy temple. In fact, he's prepared a tent to receive the ark. But now in this royal palace, we see Michal. Michal is the queen. She's one of David's wives. And Michal was angry when she looked at David and she thought he was behaving without dignity. And when she met with him, she chastised him. And she said, David, you were behaving without dignity in front of the people. And he said, no, woman, you are the wrong one. I was dancing with joy and humility in front of God. And you will have a curse on you of not having children because you told me that I was wrong. So that's one of the stories associated with it. Now, I really enjoy drawing women, as I've mentioned before, because they're so beautiful. So I had a lot of fun making their colorful outfits. And here we see, again, the people are not going so wild. It's only the proper instruments are being used. The proper long trumpets and the proper drums and etc. And also coming up the mountain, and part of this procession are the bulls. In fact, also David sacrificed a bull, I think every 10 paces or so that the ark traveled, he sacrificed to God because he was so happy. So this pretty much tells the story of the painting, and the borders, I think, tie it together because this is a border of jewels to kind of set this royal story of the royal ark of God, to give it a royalty. And I was inspired by seeing some jewels in the Sephardic holder of the Torah at my Pinto Torah Center where I attend. And then here we see the cosmos. The outside, it's like a metaphor, a symbol for God, because it's unstructured and it's just the cosmos. So at this time, I'm going to talk about this painting over here, which is called The King is in the Field. Now, this title has a special meaning. I'm sure most people have heard of Rosh Hashanah, the new year of the Jewish people. But before Rosh Hashanah comes a month, and that month is called Elul, and it's a very holy month. During it, the Sephardic people do slichot, which are special prayers for forgiveness, every morning, very early. And it's a very special month of getting ready to be judged by God. And what we say about this month is that the king is in the field, meaning if you want to contact God, he's very close during that time of the year. And the phrase, the king is in the field, it's really totally metaphorical. It's metaphorical to mean like God is very close at this time. But I've used this painting to give it almost a literal representation, showing a king in the field. And of course, I mentioned before on Fine Art for All my recent trip to the north of Israel. And this has been crystallized in this painting because here you see Mount Hermon, here you see the fortress of Nimrod, here you see the Jordan River and the Banyas Falls, which I've spoken of. And here we see the couple riding down in the river. Now for the rest, all the people of the countryside are coming in a procession to see the king. He's right here in the field. He's not in the palace, he's not in the city. He's right here in the field. So people are bringing their children and showing their children, and they're coming from all directions. And I very much enjoy painting the imaginary biblical landscape of Israel, where we'd have shepherds all the time and orchards and things like that. Now, I enjoyed this topic so much that I did some small paintings that are kind of studies for The King is in the Field. So in this small painting, we also see the king in the field. And you can see a lot of the same elements. But it has a special charm of its own. And now I'm going to show the other one that's similar. Each one, I pulled different elements from these smaller paintings into the bigger one. Here you see the people, the same procession of people coming down with a little lady in a cart, and the fields again. So this is what's different about this week, this time from last edition of Fine Art for All, is that these are all brand new paintings since I was on TV before. So I'm going to work real hard, and I hope to have new paintings for the next show.